Okay, we are coming out of recess. And we'll start with the order of resolutions. I think we'll just go from the top unless we have any requests. 41-15, Mr. Clerk.
Resolution 41-15 authorizes approval of in lieu fair share contributions to satisfy condition M of ordinance number 09-149. Authorizes the reimbursement of $2,400, the cost of contributing a 15-foot wide future road widening strip along the property frontage of Ainaloa Drive to offset future fair share contributions. Introduced by Mr. Iligan, by request.
Thank you, Mr. Iligan.
So move.
That was a motion to approve resolution 41-15.
Yes.
May I have a second? It's been moved by Mr. Iligan and seconded by Mr. Paleka. Mr. Iligan, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, may I make a motion to suspend the rules to allow voice vote because we're over here in Hilo.
Okay, we might have to have two motions to suspend the rules, I think, because you're over there in Hilo and it's a council day.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mr. Clerk?
I think it'd be okay as long as everybody understands we're suspending multiple rules for the same purpose, which is to allow voice votes during this meeting. We can combine it into one motion.
Okay.
That's fine, as long as everybody's on the same page.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Motion to suspend the rules to allow for voice votes. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Iligan and seconded by Ms. Poindexter. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Mr. Clerk.
One more time, Mr. Chung. Ms. David.
Aye.
Ms. Eoff.
Aye.
Mr. Ligan.
Aye.
Mr. Onishi.
Aye.
Mr. Paleka. Ms. Poindexter. Ms. Willie. Chair Kanua.
Aye.
Chair Kanua, you have 9 ayes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Mr. Iligan, you have the floor for resolution 41-15.
Mr. Chair, may I make a motion to suspend a 5-day holdover for all resolutions? The reason why I'm making that motion is because it looks like there's a lot of important resolutions, and to make that motion over and over would be really repetitive. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Iligan to suspend the 5-day holdover rule, and it's been seconded by Mr. Onishi. There's no discussion on this. Is this appropriate, Mr.
Well, my only concern is we might want, when we're doing this in the middle of discussion about a particular resolution, we're kind of have a main motion on the floor. We seem to be doing incidental motions. My other concern is we've never done a mass rule suspension for multiple resolutions to suspend reconsiderations. So I really don't have any research to suggest that either that is permitted or prohibited. I just, caution the council as they move forward. It would be unprecedented as far as my knowledge, I'm aware of.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I want to make sure that we're legally okay to do this. Is our corporation counsel, if we want to keep this this motion on the floor, I need to ask our corporation counsel if this is okay to suspend the rules for 21 items.
Good morning, Chair Kanuha and council members, Molly Stebbins, Corporation Counsel. I think as Deputy Clerk Henricks recommended, it might be good to just stick with what your standard practice is and not do anything unprecedented. But
So our standard practice is our standard practice, we have done it before. And if you're saying our standard practice is already, I'm sorry, there's an echo. It's so hard to.
Mine.
Okay. We did it in Kona. I'm sorry, guys. It's just so hard to talk while there's this echo.
Okay, can all the sites turn off your microphones, please, or everybody, unless you're talking, to turn off your microphone. Okay,
I,
Mr. Iligan, you may proceed.
okay, I just wanna say the purpose of doing this is to expedite our meetings. And it's to waive the 5-day holdover for all the residents that we have for this meeting. We have done it before in Kona, and that's all I could really say.
Okay, I understand what you're proposing. I think that sounds fine.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go right ahead. The motion on the floor is to suspend the 5-day holdover for, should I name all these resolutions? Resolution 41-15, Resolution 50-15, Resolution 55-15, Resolution 60-15. But, you know, okay, we haven't even discussed any of these yet. That's the problem I'm having with this. I think we should do this after the fact. Mr. Iligan, you know, after we go through these resolutions, then we can do a blanket, suspend the rules on the resolutions that we've gone through. I think that would be the more appropriate way to do it.
That sounds fine for me.
Thank you. Would you like to withdraw your motion?
I withdraw the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Iligan, I appreciate that. Okay, back on resolution 41-15, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding resolution 41-15, we discussed it in the planning committee. And unless anybody have any questions, I yield at this time.
Okay, any other discussion on resolution 41-15? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 8 ayes. Mr. Paleka is not in the room, so 8 ayes, Mr. Clerk, motion passes. Is it okay, Ms. Willie, if we go over this one? I mean, leave it till a little bit after. Thank you. Resolution 55-15.
Resolution 55-15 authorizes the Office of the Mayor to enter into an agreement with the Hawaii Health Systems Corporation Hilo Medical Center, HMC, pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Section 46-7, to provide disposable services of non-hospital infectious waste from the Hawaii Fire Department's Emergency Medical Services Bureau. Provides for the disposal of non-hospital infectious waste at a cost of $3.50 per pound, which may be increased upon written notice by HMC, introduced by Ms. Young.
Ms. Yoff.
Move to approve Resolution 55-15.
It's been moved by Ms. Yoff and seconded by Ms. Poindexter. Ms. Yoff, any discussion? Okay. Any discussion, council members? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 8 ayes. Motion passes. Resolution 60-15, Mr. Clerk.
Resolution 60-15 transfers, appropriates, an appropriation out and from the designated fund account and credits same to a designated fund account for the 2015 Hawaii Island Women's Leadership Forum. Transfers, appropriates $2,000 out and from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 7, and credits the same to the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney, Committee on Status of Women, Miscellaneous Contract Services Account, 2015 Hawaii Island Women's Leadership Forum. Funds will be used to pay for promotional and educational materials, introduced by Mr. Kumuha.
Thank you, Ms. Yoff.
Move to approve Resolution 60-15.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Yoff and seconded by Ms. David. Any discussion? Okay, briefly, I would like to say that I'm happy to support the Hawaii Island Women's Leadership Forum. I've continued to support it. I've supported it in the past, and there's other council members that have their resolutions coming forward, so they can speak more about it if they'd like to, but I'm happy to support this forum. So, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Motion passes. Mr. Clerk, resolution 61-15.
Resolution 61-15 transfers, appropriates, an appropriation out and from the designated fund account and credits same to a designated fund account for Hawaii Island Humane Society's HIHS Animal Community Center. Transfers, appropriates $2,000 out from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 8, and credits the same to the Hawaii Police Department Animal Control Humane Society Miscellaneous Contract Services Account, HIHS Animal Community Center. Funds will be used to pay for front entrance landscaping and rock wall enclosures, introduced by Ms. Young.
Ms. Yoff.
Move to approve Resolution 61. Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Yoff and seconded by Ms. David. Ms. Yoff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that we did take, we went out there for a site visit, and this is the new grounds that the Humane Society is going to be moving to. And it's beautiful. It's going to be quite a large area and a big improvement over what they have now. So I wanted to help support their efforts there.
Thank you, Ms. Yoff. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 9 ayes. Motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Resolution 62-15.
Resolution 62-15 transfers, appropriates, an appropriation out and from the designated fund account and credits same to a designated fund account to continue the bus route that services University of Hawaii at Hilo, UHH, and Hawaii Community College, ACC. Transfers, appropriates $2,000 out from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 5, and credits the same to the Mass Transit Agency, Mass Transit Other Current Expenses, Miscellaneous Contract Services Account, UHH, HCC bus route. Funds be used to cover operating expenses to continue the bus route servicing UHH and HCC students during the academic year, introduced by Mr. Paleka.
Mr. Paleka, motion to approve Resolution 62-15.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Paleka and seconded by Ms. David. Mr. Paleka, you have the floor.
Well, yeah, it's just a partner bill to my fellow colleagues who have also funded this continuation of a bus route to the downtown area for UH, Hilo, and Hawaii Community College that I would just hopefully get your support on. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yep, Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
we have Tiffany Kai here. If you would like to make any comments, are you okay? Should be coming up. Thanks, Tiffany.
Good morning, Tiffany Kai, Mass Transit Administrator. First of all, I just wanted to thank the administration as well as the County Council for supporting this pilot project. As you all know, we did implement the UH shuttle last fall that lasted up until the end of December. And, you know, the whole purpose of the pilot project is to expand bus services for the UH and HCC students to engage in community activities. So whether they're going to the movies, shopping, downtown, we feel that this is an important aspect to the students' activities and getting them out of the dorms and engaged into positive community activities. So I believe that this is a good thing, and I thank you for the support of it.
Mr. Onishi, any other
I yield.
comments?
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion, council members? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Chair?
Motion passes. Oh, yes, Mr. Onishi.
Sorry. Can we also do resolution 67-15?
Sure.
It's the same as,
Okay, Mr. Clerk, Resolution 67-15.
Resolution 67-15 transfers, appropriates, an appropriation out and from the designated fund account and credits same to designated fund account to continue the bus route that services the University of Hawaii at Hilo, UHH, and Hawaii Community College, HCC. Transfers, appropriates $5,000 out from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 3, and credits the same to the Mass Transit Agency, Mass Transit Other Current Expenses, Miscellaneous Contract Services Account, UHH, HCC bus route. Funds will be used to cover operating expenses to continue the bus route servicing UHH and HCC students during the academic year, introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi,
move to approve resolution 67-15.
Second.
it's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Mr. Ilagan. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
I just ask for support, and this is just to continue
bus routes for the university students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Clerk, going back to Resolution 63-15.
Resolution 63-15 transfers, appropriates, and appropriation out from the designated fund account and credits same to designated fund account for Hawaii Island Humane Society's HIHS Animal Community Center in Keauhou. Transfers appropriates $2,000 out from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 6, and credits the same to the Hawaii Police Department Animal Control Humane Society Miscellaneous Contract Services Account, HIHS Animal Community Center. Funds will be used to purchase a permanent sign for the front entrance. Introduced by Ms. David.
Ms. David,
Motion to approve Resolution 63-15.
it's been moved by Ms. David and seconded by Ms. Eoff. Ms. David, you have the floor.
Mahalo. This is another contingency similar to that of Ms. Eoff's. I was also taken on a separate occasion to the new location. It is a beautiful location. As a history, it used to be the Tanaka Quarry back in the day. The transformation of this place is unreal because of the amount of land area that they have. And after the quarry, it became the Fukubansai site. And so during my visit, they have kept some of the prior Fukubansai items along the gardens and stuff to implement and combine that with the pathways. So it's a beautiful site, and I'm very privileged to donate the funds so that they can get an appropriate sign at the entrance of this new Humane Society location. And I appreciate your support from the council members. Mahalo.
Thank you, Ms. David. Any other discussion, council members? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Motion passes. Resolution 64-15.
Resolution 64-15 supports the efforts of the Hawaii State Judiciary in seeking an appropriation from the Hawaii State Legislature for the remaining balance for the construction and completion of the Kona Judiciary Complex. Supports the state's effort to secure the remaining balance of $55 million to complete the project. Introduced by Mr. Chung.
Mr. Chung, motion to approve Resolution 64-15. It's been moved by Mr. Chung and seconded by Mr. Paleka. Mr. Chung, you have the floor.
Yes, just very briefly, Mr. Chairman. I think most of you know how people at the judiciary in Kona are operating out of really substandard conditions. I know Ms. Willie whispered to me several weeks ago, about the design. I think that's something, she had some concerns about the design when she went to one of the informational meetings that they had. But I think those things can be worked out. But the main thing is to get the funding so that these guys can move ahead. And I know it's odd for a person from East Hawaii to introduce something like this, but several years ago we got our judiciary building constructed over there, and it's greatly impacted both the profession as well as services to the people. So I'm hoping that this can go through. And Fresh and I actually did some lobbying at the legislature a few weeks ago on this matter, as well as others. And, we're very encouraged to find out that many of the legislators knew about the conditions here in Kona. So thank you again for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Chung. Ms. Willie?
Yeah, I clearly support this. It is, you just have to go down, we should get all of the state legislators to get a DUI or something, so they have to go be subjected. Anyway, I think it is unfortunate that it's such a generic looking building, and where we're spending this amount of money, and I know they've said that, well, that's because it would cost money to have it, have a little individuality or something, like a split paddle or something in the, but obviously I support it, so continue my little asterisk there.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Mr. Paleka?
Yeah, I would like to also really support this this resolution. Having worked it's been a long time, 2003 last time I believe I was at the judiciary, and I was as an adult corrections officer. I'm not sure if folks are aware of the small incident that just occurred not too long ago in the cell block area down in Kona. So that's, and not only that, but just knowing what the staff had endured all this time working there. Hats off to Judge Ibarra, Judge Francisco Florendo, and just going through that. But it's nice to see them. They might get a nice new venue.
Mahalo, Ms. David.
Yes, I too would like to express my wholehearted support for this judiciary building. Having like 30 years legal experience or paralegal working in that field, Kona has grown and it has outlived its current facilities a long time ago. So I'm very excited for the staff and everyone in the judiciary, and I support this. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Ms. Eoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to say thank you to Mr. Chung for introducing this, and to Mr. Nishi and Mr. Chung for going to the legislature in support of this. I know many, many people are working hard to keep the funding stream coming for the judiciary. So thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Eoff. Any other discussion? Mr. Onishi?
Yes,
Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just like to let the council members know, and then also the public, is that we did meet with Senator Kochi, who is in charge of all the CIP projects on the Senate side. And he did do a site visit maybe about, I would say like 3 to 4 weeks ago. And he got to go see the 3 different sites that the courts are located. And he was very shocked to see certain areas. The only good comments he said was that the new courthouse, I guess, or the courthouse that you folks have on Haliki Street. I mean, that's okay, a little bit better. I mean, it's a little bit better secured. The place looks, not run down. Whereas the courthouse down at the old Kona Airport, not Kona Hospital. It's the cell blocks where, it's overcrowded, there's not enough lighting, and he was just shocked. And so he will be pushing from his side to make sure that the funding is there. And just to let everyone know is that they did have 35 million that was appropriated before, and so they need this 55 to complete the construction. And if they don't get it, then the 35 million might be in jeopardy because of the time lapse. So we need to really push the legislature to get that support. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Any other discussion? I would like to say briefly that I want to thank Mr. Chung for bringing this resolution forward. It doesn't matter whether you're east side or west side for bringing this forward. I think it's, you understand the need for the entire community, so that's why I really appreciate this resolution. We're in dire need for this to come into Kona, and we all know we've been passing resolutions for a really long time to try to urge the state to give the funding. And I also want to mention that I did go up as well a few weeks ago with the rest of the chairs of the other islands, and we did speak to the Senate leadership, the House leadership, and both the Ways and Means and Finance chairs to help push this forward, along with other items, but this was a big one. So, this is, if we can continue the conversation, keep on pressuring and, doing what we can to make sure that these projects come to fruition, I think it's, good for all of us to keep on doing so. So just mahalo for the resolution, and mahalo everybody for the support.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, yeah, Mr. Nishi.
Just one more comment. Just for the public, I mean, we would really appreciate if they can also send emails or call the legislatures for support this project. So that we would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very good point to make. The more people that can come out and testify and show their support for these projects is really well taken. Okay. All in favor of resolution 64-15, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, resolution 66-15.
Resolution 66-15 transfers, appropriates, and appropriation out and from the designated fund account and credit same to the designated fund account for the 2015 Hawaii Island Women's Leadership Forum. Transfers, appropriates $4,000 out from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 2, and credits the same to the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney, Committee on Status of Women, Miscellaneous Contract Services Account, 2015 Hawaii Island Women's Leadership Forum. Funds be used to pay for planning and implementation expenses. Introduced by Mr. Chung.
Thank you. Mr. Chung. Motion to approve by Mr. Chung. May I have a second? It's been seconded by Ms. Willie. Mr. Chung, you have the floor.
I'm just glad to do this. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion, council members? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 9 ayes, motion passes. I'm also going to go to resolution 74-15 since it is the same, on the same grounds, Mr. Clerk. 74-15.
Resolution 74-15 transfers, appropriates, and appropriation out and from the designated fund account and credits same to the designated fund account for the 2015 Hawaii Island Women's Leadership Forum. Transfers, appropriates $1,000 out and from the Clerk Council Services Contingency Relief Account, Council District 5, and credits the same to the Office of Prosecuting Attorney, Committee on Status of Women, Miscellaneous Contract Services Account, 2015 Hawaii Island Women's Leadership Forum. Funds will be used to pay for educational materials and supplies. Introduced by Mr. Paleka.
We'll have a motion to approve resolution 74-15. Mr. Paleka?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Paleka and seconded by Ms. David. Mr. Paleka, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it is an honor to help in a little way the Women's Leadership Forum and just seek your support. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 9 ayes, motion passes. Okay, Mr. Clerk, we'll go back up to resolution 68-15.
Resolution 68-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to pass Senate Bill number 316 and House Bill number 1165 to help victims of domestic abuse. Urges the passing of both bills, which remove the provision allowing criminal courts to waive the crime victim compensation fee in cases where the court finds the defendant is unable to pay. Introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi,
Move to approve resolution 68-15.
it's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Ms. Eoff. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
Yes, you folks heard Ms. Chai give some information about what this is all about, and when I went up there, I talked to Ways and Means and Finance, and I told them that basically this funds are not coming from the general funds. It's basically fees that are assessed to not to the victim, but to the the defendants and or people who are prosecuted. And so this is depleting as we talk, and if they don't move on this is gonna one day gonna run out, and then we're gonna have to go and lobby for getting general funds to this. So I'm just asking for support, but then I just heard that these two bills doesn't look good. It might not even come out of committee, so I gotta do some work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Get to work over there. I know you're doing a lot for this, so I really appreciate that. Council members, any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, resolution 69-15.
Resolution 69-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to pass Senate Bill number 574 and House Bill number 1166 to help victims of domestic abuse. Urges the passing of both bills, which add the mouth and nose to the types of body parts on which pressure that is applied to impede normal breathing or blood circulation shall be pursued as a Class C felony. Introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi,
Move to approve resolution 69-15.
it's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Mr. Paleka. Mr. Onishi?
Yeah, thank you. This is again, like Mr. Chai had mentioned, it's just to add in mouth and nose when someone's covering it and you suffocate, to put it all together as one. To me, like I told the legislature up there, is that this is no funding. There's like no requirement of getting more funds. So to me, I'm hoping that this can move forward in the legislature. So I'm asking for you guys' support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Resolution 70-15.
Resolution 70-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to support funding for an advanced life support ambulance to be based in Puna, as provided in Senate Bill number 1016 and House Bill number 851. Urges the passing of both bills, which provide an additional advanced life support ambulance in Puna, plus funding for equipment and personnel costs, introduced by Mr. Ilagan.
Mr. Ilagan,
I move to approve Resolution 70-15.
Second.
it's been moved by Mr. Ilagan and seconded by Mr. Onishi. Mr. Ilagan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can have the chief come up. Chief, if you could share your thoughts about Resolution 70-15.
Thank you. Darren Rosario, Hawaii Fire Department Fire Chief. I just wanted to let the council know that we really appreciate the support of the council, members of our community, and our state legislature in moving forward House Bill 851, also Senate Bill 1016. We provided testimony which was accepted very readily. As you folks know, in response to the June 27 lava flow event, the county stood up an advanced life support ambulance and supported our role in opening up the Pahoa Village Fire Station. Since that time, the additional ambulance has been running about 80 additional calls in the Pahoa area. And I just wanted to share that this is has a relationship to all council districts in the Puna area as well as Hilo. Those 80 calls that the Pahoa Village ambulance has taken up allows the unit at Kaiwalani and the unit at Central, as well as the units in Ke'ao, to remain in their response districts. It says significantly reduce the secondary response out of units from Hilo to come into Puna to take up the call volume there. But the county cannot afford to keep funding this additional resource, which actually is the responsibility of the state. And I just wanted to share that in providing testimony at the state capitol. Directly behind my testimony was testimony from the State Department of Health that basically said they had no money to fund most of the projects. So we look forward to having the community come out as well as our community leaders in support of these bills. And I just wanted to thank the council for all of their assistance that they have given.
Thank you, Chief. I also wanted to mention to the council members is that we passed a reso last year in support of both the Makale and the Puna ambulance. And this time around, as the Sayers mentioned, we're trying a different strategy and we're splitting the two. Whether or not Puna gets the ambulance and Makale gets it, I would support either one. I would like to see either one succeed, or better yet, both of them succeed. I just want to mention that right now, if we could, after this reso, if the council approves it, if we could also read Resolution 79-15 and Resolution 85-15 right after, since the chief is right here.
Thank you, Mr. Ilagan. Any other discussion on Resolution 670-15? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Motion passes. Okay, we will, since the chief is there, we will go to Mr. Clerk, Resolution 79-15.
Resolution 79-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to support funding for an advanced life support ambulance in Makale, as provided in Senate Bill number 298 and House Bill number 481, urges the passing of both bills, which provide an advanced life support ambulance in Makale, North Kona. Introduced by Mr. Ilagan.
Mr. Ilagan,
I move to approve Resolution 79-15.
it's been moved by Mr. Ilagan and seconded by Ms. Eoff. Mr. Ilagan, you have the floor.
Chief.
Thank you. Just once again, just a short testimony that in Makale, the difference as compared to Puna isn't so much as far as call volume, but it's distance from the hospital and also turnaround time for the units that currently respond to the Makale area, inclusive of Kailua, Keauhou, and Captain Cook. Those units respond to all of the downtown and the upper areas of Kailua Kona. So having a unit in Makale will definitely improve the response times for an ALS emergency in all of these areas here. And definitely will keep the other units available for calls in their districts as well. Unlike Hilo, the hospital's facility is about 30 minutes away from the downtown Kailua area. So just having that turnaround time, that's about an hour turnaround for a unit to be out on a call. So this will definitely help increase our response capabilities for ALS services in the Kona area. Thank you.
Thank you, and I yield at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Ilagan. Any discussion, Ms. Eoff?
I would just like to say thank you, Mr. Ilagan, and thank you to the Sayers and the fire chief. So I don't live too far from the Makale fire station, and it will be a great asset to this community to have an ambulance there. There's a lot of people it will serve, not only towards Kona town, but towards north as well.
Thank you, Ms. Eoff. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, we will move down the agenda to Resolution 85-15.
Resolution 85-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to appropriate funds to employ lifeguards for Kua Bay, Keikakai State Park on the island of Hawaii. Urges the passing of House Bill number 527, which appropriates up to $200,000 for fiscal year 2015-2016 and the same amount for fiscal year 2016-2017 to pay for lifeguard salaries, benefits, equipment, and other related expenses. Introduced by Ms. Eoff.
Ms. Eoff,
Move to approve Resolution 85-15.
Second.
it's been moved by Ms. Eoff and seconded by Ms. David. Ms. Eoff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is extremely important that we get these lifeguard positions funded and that the state approves the funding. The county does administer the lifeguard program, but we would seek reimbursement from the state. This is a state park. As Mrs. Sayer said, now that Kua Bay has a road to it and amenities there, many, many more people use this area and they don't understand the dangers. And I think the lifeguards are really important to place there. I'm not sure whether it needs to be year-round or if when the positions are funded, if lifeguards can be moved into the different areas that when the surf is high. But either way, I know the fire chief will help explain that, and there's a lot of support for this. The young man who spoke to us earlier, Brett, had called my house because I knew him for a long time, and he was, as you could see, very distraught and upset over what he's witnessed there, and the fact that he's taken it on himself to save people is remarkable. But I called Cindy Evans' office after hearing from him and realizing that she was going to introduce this bill. I just wanted to do all I could to support it. So thank you very much. And Chief Rosario, I don't know if you have anything to add, but I know you're still there.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that definitely the Hawaii Fire Department stands ready to provide the community with the necessary water safety officers for these locations. The only concerning thing for me in reviewing the bill is it does state to employ lifeguards for Kua Bay as well as Keikakai State Park, which is two distinct different areas. So the funding amount will definitely have to be increased, and we'll be in contact with the bill writers and move forward on that. Aside of salary and wages, we also would have to purchase the lifeguard towers as well as the equipment for it, but that's all of incidental things that we can work together between the county and the state to provide the services. Is it needed? Definitely it's needed. Do we stand ready to assist with this? Yes, we do. So I thank you folks for your folks' support, and I think it'll be a great asset to the visitors as well as residents of Hawaii Island that patronize these two beautiful areas in Kona. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. Eoff, were you finished?
Just to ask Fire Chief Rosario, I think I asked Ms. Evans' office if Keikahakai was a separate place or if it was just a way to identify where Kua Bay is, because Kua Bay is kind of the end of Keikahakai State Park. So I'm not sure if the intention is two different spots or if they're just referring to Kua Bay within Keikahakai State Park. So but I guess it would be good to get that cleared up.
Thank you, and I'll have Battalion Chief Gerald Kosaki, who's in charge of our special operations, which includes ocean safety, to get some clarification and also to work directly with them with any information that they need. He has provided them stats as well as costing items, so we look forward to continue that relationship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eoff. Thank you, Chief. Any other discussion, council members? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 9 ayes. Motion passes. Okay, Mr. Clerk, back up to the top of the agenda. Resolution 71-15.
Resolution 71-15 nominates a representative to serve as a director on the Western Interstate Region Boards of Directors. Nominates Councilmember Danny Paleka, introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi.
Move to approve resolution 71-15.
May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Ms. David. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
Thank you. Okay, so, if council members remember that, a while back, we had made, Mr. Kanuha the representative on the board of director for the WIR. But now, since he's the chair, I talked to him and he said he was willing to give it up, and so, since, Danny Paleka is the alternate representative for HSAC, we decided that we wanted to make Danny the Western Region, Interstate Region Board Director. So I'm asking for councilors for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Is there any other discussion? Yeah. There were some typographical Mr. Onishi, on the resolution that we might need to clear up right now, verbal amendments. Mr. Paleka's name was spelled wrong, so we apologize for that, Mr. Paleka. But I think we might need to have a verbal amendment to change Mr. Paleka's name, or change it from Pakeka to Paleka. And also at the fourth whereas, representative is also spelled wrong, so we need to correct that as well. So if I could have a verbal amendment to correct, to amend Mr. Pakeka, or amend the spelling of Pakeka to Paleka, and also as in the fourth whereas to spell representative correctly. May I have a motion for that?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. David and seconded by Ms. Eoff. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. And since this isn't a significant amendment, we can vote on this today. On resolution 71-15 as amended, any discussion? I would like to say something. I think Mr. Paleka will do an amazing job, and I'm glad Mr. Onishi did make Mr. Paleka, or did nominate him to the Western Interstate Region Board of Directors. I was part of that at one point, but I think my duties and responsibilities created a situation where I wouldn't be able to go to many of these meetings. So I think it's highly appropriate to have Mr. Coletta sit on this board. And Mr. Coletta, do you have anything else?
I'd just like to say, I'll be very honored if you get the support from my fellow members.
Thank you. Ms. David.
Yes, I'd just like to express my support for Councilmember Puleka. I think as a freshman member, I think it'll be a great experience, and his background is would be an asset. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. David. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Mr. Onishi, real quickly, does this has to go in front of HSAC?
Yes,
does it
so
not?
now it will be forwarded to HSAC, and then from there, the executive board will take it up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Onishi. Okay, Mr. Clerk, Resolution 80-15.
Resolution 80-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to pass House Bill number 373 relating to the Transient Accommodations Tax, TAT. Urges the passing of House Bill number 373, which amends the TAT revenue amount allocated to the counties from $103 million annually to an unspecified percentage of the revenues collected. Introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi.
Move to approve resolution 80-15.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Ms. Wheeling. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
Yes, this House Bill 373, basically, it removes the cap, and my understanding was they were gonna go to what the original percentage is supposed to be, so we'll be like getting double what we are getting now. But I don't think that will happen going to the state legislature, but I'm just supporting the bill. And then also, I think the bill's author was the representative from Puna, Joy San Ventura. Yeah. So I'm supporting her legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. I think Ms. Willie, you had a...
Yeah,
Go right ahead.
I want to say that I am supporting this, and I think it's shameful if it doesn't pass. It's, they have put in the same percentage for the counties of 44.8%, down from 95%. Let's be clear. And there's another bill, 197 from HSAC. It's basically the duplicate. So I support this. It is, it's also Representative Lowen, Nakashima, and Tsuji are also on the bill. And there should be no reason why this doesn't pass. So anyway, I think that we should all be working very hard to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Resolution 81-15.
Resolution 81-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to pass House Bill number 833 relating to the Transient Accommodations Tax, TAT. Urges the passing of House Bill number 833, which permanently allocates $103 million in TAT revenue to the counties. Introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi.
Move to approve resolution 81-15.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Mr. Ilagan. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
Okay, this is another bill that was introduced by Representative Joy San Ventura, and this one is to keep the amount at 103, but then removing the sunset date, which was supposed to be for 2016. Because once it comes 2016, we'd go back to the 93 million. So there's like 2 bills going, so hopefully we can get the better one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Ms. Willie, did you have a comment?
Yeah, again, I disagree with this. I mean, the people that are on this bill, including Representative Evans, stood and said this cap would be removed when the economy went back up. It's explicitly, and now it's basically, they set it up in a really, neat way. We're gonna have the 103, but if you don't wanna preserve that, we'll drop it to whatever's 90 something. So that you better be supporting it, whereas really the whole idea is to, for me, what bothers me is keeping a cap. This will limit us. We have no incentive to bring in more hotel tax. The relationship between the benefit and the burden, the more we do to improve our tourism on this island will make no difference in terms of that tax. We will not benefit, none of the other islands. So you basically, there are all of these bills. There's a number of other ones going on, carving out money for various, earmarking it for various things. And the hearing is today. There'll be one more hearing. But, I think that it's very wrong and that this original tax was meant for the counties, only an administrative fee for the, state. And this is our second major source of revenue. And we are right now, our island has the highest increase in tourism right now. We're trying to bring in the flight. We've got all this going. We will have no benefit. So I just want to, I think that Councilmember Onishi is right in terms of his evaluation. And I certainly think that it's wrong. It's shameful.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mr. Clerk, that's 1 no, Ms. Willie, 8 ayes. Motion passes. Okay, resolution 82-15.
Resolution 82-15 urges the Hawaii State House of Representatives to pass House Bill number 1041 relating to hunting, urges the passing of House Bill number 1041, which establishes a game commission to serve in an advisory capacity to the governor and the Board of Land and Natural Resources, introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi,
Move to approve resolution 82-15.
Second.
Second,
it's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Ms. Willie. Mr. Onishi, go right ahead.
Yeah, so you folks heard the testimony already from Mr. Lodge, Mr. Luster, and so forth. I did make some phone calls this morning to some friends to see if they can talk to Chairman Rhodes to have him waive this bill, House Bill 1041, to the Finance Committee where Chairman Luke could hear the testimony and also make a decision on this. What my understanding is I guess a request for about $150,000 in creating this commission. So that I think might be one of the problems where they don't want to be distributing more funds out to different, I guess, groups or whatever. But yeah, so hopefully by 12 noon today, the House is going to be meeting, and hopefully Chairman Rhodes will waive it to the Finance. Thank you, and ask for your support, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Any discussion? Ms. Willie?
yeah, I do support this. I think that there should maybe be an amendment to address that financial issue, but basically we're just trying to give a voice to people that are very affected. And I think that where you have a voice, even where it's really down on the advisory and people listening, then regardless of what the result is, you're willing to sort of work with it. And instead, I think the last meeting that I attended of the county one, DLNR came in and said, well, yes, we're working on this package of what should be our strategy here on the island, and they wanted to have more voice. And they said, well, we're not ready to give it to you. We want to put it together and then get your opinion. And I just think the more we can get input sort of really on the advisory, how do we do it, get in ideas, brainstorm, then the more people feel, they're a part of the decision making and are really willing to abide by compromises and decisions even when they're adverse. So that's thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Any other discussion, council members? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That's 9 ayes. Motion passes. Mr. Clerk, resolution 86-15.
Resolution 86-15 urges the Hawaii State Legislature to pass Senate Bill number 1233 and House Bill number 610 appropriating funds for Federal Inspection Station at Kona International Airport, urges the passing of both bills, which funds a building that will replace a structure that no longer meets United States Custom and Border Protection technical standards and provides the state with a second international port of entry, introduced by Mr. Onishi.
Mr. Onishi,
Move to approve resolution 86-15.
it's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Ms. Willie. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, when Mr. Chung and I went up to, part of our lobbying was also to go meet with the state director of transportation for Fujikami. And he had mentioned that talking to Homeland Security and also to Customs and Border Patrol, what they wanted to get was a guarantee that the funding for the building where Customs would be housed would be in place. And so he promised them, or he had assured them, that he had airport money that could build the building, but they didn't really want to take that. So what he did is he got like Senator Nishihara to do this Senate Bill 1233, and I forgot who was the House side, the author of that, but then they introduced this bill which is for $50 million to build a facility. And so this is just in support of those bills so that the legislature can pass that, get the fifth, and it would be obligation bonds that would be used to fund this building. Get it approved during this session, so that way Mr. Fujikami can go up and back to the feds and tell them, okay, look, here's a commitment. So now can you start approving their application for the 5-year exemption, so that during that time of the 5-year exemption, they could be building this building up. So I'm asking for your support, and I don't know if maybe Mr. Chung wants to add on anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Any discussion, Ms. Willie?
Yeah, I just wanted to say so that the public fully understands that part of this effort is really trying to get in the international flights. In particular, right now, Hawaiian Airlines application for a round-trip flight from Tokyo to Kona. And in terms of, again, what everybody wants, parks, hospitals, everything is all dependent on where's the money, and bringing that direct route in. I forget how many additional millions they anticipate would come into the county and have a ripple effect in the jobs. So this is important.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. Any other discussion, council members?
Mr. Chair?
Hearing or, oh, yeah, Mr.
I just
Onishi.
wanted to add, and what Mr. Fujikami also mentioned was that it's not like just basically just the Big Island in profiting from all of this. It's the whole state, because what happens is when they fly into Kona International Airport, now the tourists can go and get inter-island flights going to like Maui, going to Kauai, and also they could go to Oahu, and then they can fly out of Oahu. So they could come into Kona, fly out of Kona, or fly out of Honolulu, or they can fly into Honolulu and then fly out of Kona. So that's the option that they have. But then also one of the main reasons was that in case Honolulu International Airport, say, has a major fire or something like that, there's no other airports in the state that can house or accept international flights. And so by having Kona International Airport, having that status, that would be the secondary airport in case Honolulu has to shut down. So that's like kind of the main reasons that why now, that's like the main reasons why the state is now approaching to the feds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Okay, we'll go up, Mr. Clerk, to the last resolution, Resolution 50-15.
Resolution 50-15 amends the rules of procedure and organization of the Council of the County of Hawaii by amending Rule Number 2, meetings. Amends Council Rule 2 by decreasing the number of votes required to allow committee or council meeting to go beyond 6 p.m., requiring the council's prior approval for any request of a presentation not related to a pending bill or resolution, and requiring equal time be allowed for and against the subject matter of any presentation relating to a pending bill or resolution. Introduced by Ms. Willie, there's a pending motion on the floor to approve this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Ms. Willie, you have the floor.
Okay. Yes. Let me just say, in terms of this rule as the others, and largely I feel that it's an issue that we should get settled. There are pros and cons of both positions. It's not like I'm here necessarily saying that I'm weighing in one way or another, but I feel that we ought to get these things great. And I also want to say that the first part of this is about whether we meet until after 6, and whether we stop at 6 p.m. And somehow, if you all remember that debacle at the beginning where suddenly there was we had an amended version of the rules, and Councilmember Iligan came to the rescue and said, "What's this?" And somehow the provision saying that we stop at 6 and having a unless with a 2/3 majority was in the final draft when we thought we were correcting it and going back to the one last year. So I was trying to figure out how to get that before the council and not just chit-chat and break the sunshine law. So I thought, well, if I so I made an amendment changing it from 2/3 vote to majority, basically because I want this issue to be looked at, and that we really never voted that in, so what it has, our current version, even though we didn't know we were voting it in, says that we shall conclude by 6 p.m. absent a 2/3 vote. Now we can so I just changed it to a majority vote because only 5 people would be a quorum, or we basically get rid of it and just say we're going to go like we did last night, and that's it. So again, I just want the issue, let's get it clear. I don't like things having been voted on by the council when we don't know we're doing it. And then D had to do with presentations, and if you recall, there was when I was trying to show Racing to Zero and, what are we doing and how much time it takes. And again, this is an issue I thought that we ought to resolve and figure out while we handled it. So the way I wrote it up for discussion, starting point was any request where it's not related to a pending bill should be approved in advance by the council. Right now, pretty much we leave it to our own discretion and honor what each one's saying and assume that there isn't, that folks aren't abusing it. And it also comes up, you can vote it off. I mean, we did not see the Racing to Zero. And the second part of that is where there is a bill pending or a resolution. Someone wants to put, should we allow any kind of presentations? Or should it just be part of the testimony? Or if there's something controversial and each one of us, well, I want to get a, hour-long, 45-minute presentation. I feel that that's wrong, but I'm just trying to do this as a starting point. So I put where at least you have, where there's a, do you want the bill or you don't want it, whatever it is, that each side be represented, rather than always having to worry, well, if I don't do a presentation, and I don't know about one, that Councilmember Paleka might want to do that's opposing, I better get one in there. Here is that there should be at least equal time to each side for and against, and upon approval of the council chair. So that's leaving it to the chair to really decide, like, I don't think this is a good idea. So it basically gives that overall discretion to the chair. Again, I want to say we can leave it the way right now, where it's really in our own discretion. We move it if there's a presentation. There's not really, you're not having to get advanced approval, or we can do it where there's sort of make sure there's something on both sides. I think last night gave us an idea. What if it had only been my presentation, not Bill Welch? That it's good having, I feel it's good having, when there is going to be a presentation on a bill, that it should be allowed, that we're sort of hearing the two ends and see where we go. So I'm going to yield right now. I just I want to get it out. And I think, number one, I want to say I feel that it's important that we just settle our procedural issues and we're not debating them when things are going on. So I want to get some clarity, and that's why I'm doing this, and not necessarily that what position we should take. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Willie. I want to give the floor to Mr. Onishi. Mr. Onishi?
Thank you.
You ready?
Chair. Yes, okay. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend resolution 50-15 with the conference and communication number 79.1.
Motion's on the floor. May I have a second? It's been moved by Mr. Onishi and seconded by Ms. Poindexter. Mr. Onishi, you have the floor
Thank you.
on the
Yeah,
amendment.
at our last meeting, what happened is that my concern was that like in C, that all council and committee meetings shall conclude by 6 p.m. That was not what was in the original rules that we had from last term. And so what I wanted to do was correct that first, to take it out, and that's why this amendment is in there. And then maybe next meeting, Ms. Willie can come in and she can amend our Rule 2 with whatever she wants to put in about the meeting times and how the voting will be. Also, in resolution 50-15, she had included about the presentation, and that was like in D. So what I'm doing is I'm amending that part of the presentation where it is going to be now C, and would be any request for referral of presentations shall be approved in advance by the council. So anyone who wants to do a presentation would need to come propose it to the council, and then the council at the time will decide if we want to do the presentation or not. Then when you come to the council, you would need to request, your request would have to be the proposed date of the presentation, a brief description of the content of the presentation, the persons or groups that will be providing the presentations. And then so once that is approved, and that would you wouldn't need a super majority, you just would need a majority vote. Then it would be done, the council chair would be the person that would I guess appropriate or would select which committee the presentation would be suited for. Okay, so that way we'll leave that up to the council chair to decide, okay, which committee this presentation should be heard in. And so I'm just asking for you guys' approval, and I think this is better where the council as a whole can make a decision if we want to hear the presentation or we want to defer it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Council, Ms. Willie.
I'd just like to ask, can we break these two, the C, eliminating C and the provision in D, and vote on them separately? Deal with them separately? That's first, but let me just make a couple comments first. Let me say, in terms of C, I have no trouble eliminating C, and I have no trouble leaving it eliminated permanently, as is what we had. So I'm fine with that. With respect to the presentations, you know, the one thing this takes out is sort of the assurance that there's going to be an opportunity for different positions to be presented. So if I wanted to go and do a presentation on something that was coming up and looked good, or got it in, or anyone else, then it might be that Ms. Poindexter really disagreed with that, and then she's saying, well, why, has no knowledge, because I can't inform people of what's going on. We don't know what's going on with the other council members. So I just want to make it clear that really the only key difference here is that it doesn't assure that there's an opportunity for the two sides of the issue. I think there's also, in some ways, do we really want to have presentations? I just want to you know, do we want to have presentations? I just want to use last night. And then how, if we do we want it to be that anyone can do one where it's a one-sided position, say on the aquifer one of the presentations where Peter Young came, and there was a lot of anger, well, what, you're not having a panel on the other side. Or do we want to assure there is? So I think there are pros and cons to all of that, and again, I'm just going to yield and want to clarify the differences, but I would like to vote separately on these and not as a package. So can I move to bifurcate or whatever the language is, or?
I think maybe before you do that, I'd like to hear from the other council members.
Okay, fine.
Ms. Yoff.
There's definitely pros and cons, especially regarding presentations. But a couple of things, you know, maybe I haven't thought this through as much as you have, that maybe you could answer this question. What if there isn't an opposing presenter that's either willing to come forward or that we would like to hear from? Do we still, I mean, I'm not sure how we can deal with that the way it's written now, because it seems like that would be required. And the other thing is, if presentations need to be decided on by the council at a meeting ahead of the time that it gets referred to committee, that would mean that people would then come in and testify as well on those presentations several more times than they do at this time, the way it is. So I guess we have to think that through. I'm not sure how that would work out. If it's very controversial, it might become a very prolonged exercise. So those are the things that occurred to me, but I don't know. I'm willing to keep talking about it.
Thank you, Ms. Yoff. Council members? Oh, Mr. Chung?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I think both of these, well, what is this? The original resolution or the original rule proposal by Ms. Willie, as well as the amendment by Mr. Onishi, have merit. And it's really difficult for me to choose one over the other. I mean, I'm inclined more to go with Mr. Onishi's right now. But I did want to mention, and I don't know, maybe this is food for thought. I don't know if you guys want to postpone this, because I really believe information is good. I'm kind of surprised that Ms. Willie would actually suggest that perhaps we don't need presentations. But I really think that the more information we get in the way of presentations are good. Now, I've approached this subject with the county clerk as well as the corporation counsel, and what I have mired in my office is a draft of a rule change, and I don't know if it's ever going to see the light of day, and maybe, you know, I can get some input from all of you. But it was the formation of a presentations committee, and that committee, the chairperson, he or she would basically be the czar of presentations. Of course, the initial referral would be made from the council chair, okay? But it would either be presented or end in that committee. And I've also thought about the possibility of keeping public testimony to 1 minute at the end of the presentation. And the basis for that is, if we're gonna have people presenting and we wanna get information, then we want these guys to be able to come to us and not have to wait for a long time before they get to present. I think they should be able to come, present their information at the front end, and then people can comment later on. Maybe, you know, I've discussed this with Corp Counsel, and, you know, she thinks that maybe, you know, limiting it to 1 minute, since in as much as we're trying to get information from presenters, it might be okay. But I just wanted to throw that out as something that, you know, I've been toying with. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, but maybe you guys can think about it.
Thank you, Mr. Chung. Council members, Mrs. David, and then Mr. Coletta.
Yes, thank you, Margaret, and Councilmember Onishi. I think we've kind of experienced what you're talking about in several of our meetings regarding presentations. I kind of like the idea that Councilmember Chung is speaking of, at this point, I'm not really sure whether I'm going, which one works, basically. I think for me, I need to kind of think about more of what Mr. Chung is saying, because I kind of like that process, because it separates it from our business at hand, and we can get more control of our agenda that way. So I'd like some time to think about it, and then also see what Councilmember Chung puts forward, and look at his proposal. I yield.
Thank you. I just want to mention to the council members, I apologize, but I mean, we need to just stick on this amendment right now. I understand that there could be something in the future, and I don't want to go into, possible future legislation that might happen, but I just want to, even though it's still part of what we're talking about right now, so if we can just keep on to this amendment, I'd really appreciate it. Mr. Coletta.
No, I just wanted to reiterate that I do believe we need to consider both sides of the issue when hearing, and like last night, there's an opportunity for them to respond or rebut to the presentation would be helpful. But in this case, regarding the two proposals we have or measures before us,
Mr. Paleka, before you continue that, we need to take a really quick recess. Apologize for cutting you off.
I don't know.
We'll come back to you. Okay, council members, real quick recess. Okay, aloha everyone. We are coming out of recess. Apologize for that. Thank you for your patience. And we will continue on with Mr. Paleka. Mr. Paleka on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, no, I'm gonna. I like the elements of both proposals, so perhaps we can work on this a little more. I'll just leave it to that and yield to my fellow members.
Thank you, Mr. Paleka. Before I go back to the other council members, any other council member that hasn't spoken yet on this first round, I think we haven't spoken to Mr. Iligan. Sorry, Mr. Iligan, I can't really see you. Oh, if you are okay with...
Thank you,
Would you like
Mr.
to-
Chair, but at this time, I honestly don't have any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Iligan. Ms. Willie.
Okay, just sort of thinking of the comments that have been said, that we could do this where it said any request for referral of a presentation shall be approved in advance by the council chair. If we're willing to do that, if he had some question, could move it on. But then we wouldn't be coming before anyone. I'm not sure how going, there's the chair, there's the council, there's an ad hoc committee, and just running through, the different, an ad hoc committee to me is like the ad hoc we did last night. I don't like it, where it's 3 or 4 people making the decision, and I don't know that I agree. In some ways, I feel the obligation of the chair is to make sure that there's fairness, and they can say, I think this is a controversial issue. If you're going to do this, I think we ought to open it up to the other side, and we could orchestrate it and take a little less time with the council. Now, if we don't like how it's being handled, we could come back at a later date and change it. But I could work with Mr. Onishi. I think he spells out a little bit more here, but that would be the direction that I would move in. It also eliminates some of the issues that I know Ms. Eoff picked up on, and also my concern is if you're going to say there's a pro and a con, well, who is it that if I'm the pro side, do I get to decide who's doing the con side? And then I want to not get into sunshine law violations. So my suggestion, I think, that right now, is, for the time being, would be that we work on it. Fresh and I could work on it and come up with a different edition, but basically my inclination would go to allowing the chair to facilitate that and not having another hearing, because I can, last night it was hell. I really wanted the public to be able to speak after the presentations, as John knows, and that's something I was thinking I would bring up a new rule, because in other words, he said you're not following the agenda and those issues, but I think the people should see the presentation, because I didn't know exactly what I was gonna vote. I wanted to listen to what everyone had to say. So, I would like to move to postpone this to the call of the chair.
Postpone, before I get a second on that, Ms. Willie, I just want to hear from Mr. Onishi, since this is his amendment.
Okay.
I'd like to give him an opportunity to
Yeah,
respond,
fine.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Onishi?
Hearing some of the discussions and the concerns from council members, I was just thinking, where it says any request for referral of a presentation shall be approved in advance by the council chair. And so the council chair would decide if we hear it or not. And then the council chair would be the person that would, I guess, decide which committee the presentation would be held in. And so that way, we wouldn't hear any testimony like Ms. Yoff had mentioned about. And this way, any presentation wouldn't go to the committee chair, but would go to the council chair. And I think that would be the easiest. Thank you. So
That's what I'm
I
saying.
would like to move this forward, and then we can just amend it, or we can just do verbal amendment to this. I don't know how we can do it, but just adding in chair. Thank you. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. Ms. Willie?
I think this is substantive enough that even though we would just say eliminate everything other than adding the word chair, I'm not sure that we really should, or we can do that verbally. I think we could do, John, can I ask the clerk? If we did that, we still have to hear it again. It's not the final vote,
The answer
right?
to your first question, which I believe is, can this proposed amendment be verbally amended by the council? The answer to that is yes. We do allow verbal amendments as a secondary amendment, provided, of course, that it's clear and everybody understands what the amendment is. The answer to your second question, I believe, is would the council be allowed to act further on this today if amendments are made to this resolution? Am I correct, or did I misread that?
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, normally we would hold it over unless the council suspended its rules and wanted to act on it today. Because the amendments are substantial, it would be held over to the next agenda unless council desired to move on by suspension.
So then would I be making a motion to amend this Mr. Onishi's amendment, and by adding the word chair at the end of the first sentence of where it says C here, and I'm looking at mine, I think, no? So that it would just read, any request for referral of a presentation shall be approved in advance by the council chair, period. And that's it.
You got that?
If I may, in reading the entire amendment, if we're going to keep the material below that specifies request for presentation time, thing of that nature, and then if we're not, then that would probably be the first motion to make, would be to remove that material in its entirety. I would state that as removing the final two sentences that are proposed. That would be the first motion to me to amend this resolution. The second one would be to add the words chairperson after the word council.
Okay. So I move to amend C so that it eliminates all of this except for the first sentence. It would only the first sentence.
Mr. Clerk, I don't want to confuse not only ourselves, but the public that are listening. You know what we're doing. They don't have, they might not have a lot of this in front of them.
Should I read it?
I'm just trying to feel the more appropriate. Mr. Chung, if you have, real quickly. Sorry.
I'm just wondering if we could table this for a little while, let us gather our thoughts, and we got some members of the administration, and I'm sure their matters aren't going to take too long, so if we could do that, would that be okay?
Yeah. Mr. Chung, you're absolutely correct. I think Ms. Willie, I think if it's appropriate, in the next 15 minutes, I mean, we can have somebody, one of the staff help you out of how to formulate a proper, one of these, or Mr. Onishi in the Hilo side. Mr. Onishi, is it okay if we table this right now so you can work on that amendment?
I don't see that.
But my amendment would just be adding in chair after council, that
That's-
first sentence, and that's it, and keeping everything else, because then that way, it kind of defines as a council member, when you wanna, request for a presentation, it tells all the description what you need to do. And you need to follow this rules on having like proposed date, a brief description of the contents of the presentation, the persons or groups that will be providing presentations. And then the chair will decide which committee will be heard in. Simple.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
if I could address, Trash. I don't know if you heard, but I just asked the chair if we could perhaps table this matter so, we could all gather our thoughts, because we have Dwayne and Bobby Command over here. And, maybe if we take the other matters up, get them out of here, and then go back. Because for you and Margaret, it seems to be really easy to digest, because you guys were the ones to draft this. Like, we just got your amendment today. It's kind of difficult for even me to really digest, even if, as simple as it sounds to you. I'm getting a difficult time to, see how all of this plays in with one another. So could we just maybe table it? Would that be okay? Just table it for like 15 minutes? I think that's all it's gonna take to get Mr. Kanua and Mr. Command out of here,
Mr. Chung, was that a motion?
if that's okay with him.
No, Mr. Chair, no, I'm okay with the team, but I'm not gonna do any other amendments. All I'm going to do is, if there's an amendment, I'm gonna just put in chair and that's it. I'm gonna keep everything else.
Okay.
I think Ms. Willie wants to eliminate everything else, so.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll
Onishi.
make a
I-
motion to table this to the end of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Onishi. May I have a second? It's been moved to table this amendment to the end of the day agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, council. Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Ilagan.
I just wanted to also get some people who are tied in to be able to do the rest of their things. And I was wondering if Bill 281, Bill 17, and Bill 18.
That is the next on the agenda. We have our planning director and deputy planning director here in the audience. So, Mr. Clerk, Bill 281.
Bill 281, the 2012-2014 Council Term Amends Chapter 25, Article 6, Division 1, and Article 5 of the Hawaii County Code 1983-2005 edition as amended, relating to plan unit development. Amends the zoning code to require plan unit development, PUD, applications to be reviewed and acted on by either the Leeward or Windward Planning Commission, to be determined based on location of the property for which the PUD is sought, introduced by Ms. Eoff.
Ms. Eoff, motion to approve Bill 281.
Move to approve Bill 281.
It's been moved by Ms. Eoff and seconded by Ms. David. Ms. Eoff, you have the floor.
Thank you. We discussed this in planning committee in Hilo, and just to a little bit briefly go over it, I introduced this bill, and it changes the PUD permit application and approval process by requiring that the decisions will be rendered by the planning commission rather than exclusively by the planning director, and allows for a more open, transparent, and public hearing process. I believe that the change will allow for a greater level of transparency by providing the public a venue and an opportunity for community involvement, something that is necessary with sometimes changes within PUDs. Also, just to note that there is a requirement in this bill that the application for the PUD permit be compatible with the surrounding community, and that it conforms to the relevant CDPs. I just wanted to thank the department, Director Kanuha and Bill Brilhante, for helping me think this through and pointing out that we have a process very similar with special permits, and we pretty much tailored this along those same lines. And thank you, council members, for your support last time. And I don't know if there's somebody in Hilo that Mr. Iligan was referring to, but Mr. Kanuha is here, if Director Kanuha is here, if council members have any questions, or if, would you like to add anything? No? Fine, okay. Well, any other questions, I guess, can be directed to them if you have. Thank you, I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Eoff. Council members, any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Bill 17.
Bill 17 amends Section 25-8-33 City of Hilo Zone Map, Article 8, Chapter 25 Zoning Code of the Hawaii County Code 1983-2005 edition by changing the district classification from agricultural 3 acres A-3A to family agricultural 1 acre FA-1A at Waikea Homestead, Second Series, Waikea, South Hilo, Hawaii, covered by tax map key 24034-045. Applicants Melvin and Brenda Morris, of area approximately 3.002 acres. The Winter Planning Commission forwards its favorable recommendation for this change of zone, which would allow the applicants to subdivide the property into 3 lots to be conveyed to the applicant's children, introduced by Mr. Iligan by request.
Mr. Iligan.
I move to approve Bill 17.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Iligan and seconded by Mr. Onishi. Mr. Iligan, you have the floor.
I'm gonna yield at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Iligan. Council members, any discussion on Bill 17? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Bill 18.
Bill 18 amends Section 25-8-3 North Kona District Zone Map, Article 8, Chapter 25 Zoning Code of the Hawaii County Code 1983-2005 edition by changing the district classification from agricultural 1 acre A-1A to village commercial 10,000 square feet CD-10 at Holualoa, North Kona, Hawaii, covered by tax map key 76013-017. Applicant Orchid Isle Auto Center, area 1.002 acre. The Leeward Planning Commission forwards its favorable recommendation for this change of zone, which would allow the applicant to develop automobile storage and employee parking, introduced by Mr. Iligan by request.
Mr. Iligan.
Move to approve Bill 18.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Iligan, seconded by Mr. Onishi. Any discussion, Mr. Iligan?
None at this time, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any discussion, council members? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Bill 20.
Bill 20 amends ordinance number 14-82 as amended relating to the public improvements and financing thereof for the fiscal year July 1, 2014 to June 30, 2015 as the Environmental Management Hilo Ocean Outfall Assess Repair Project for $4.95 million to the capital budget. Funds for the project shall be provided from general obligation bonds, capital projects fund, fund balance, and/or other sources. Funds will be used towards design and construction costs related to protection of the exposed portion of the shoreline outfall pipe located in Hilo, to perform an assessment of the ocean outfall, and to repair leaking joints. Introduced by Ms. Eoff, requires a 2/3 vote of the entire membership.
Ms. Eoff.
Move to approve Bill 20.
It's been moved by Ms. Eoff, seconded by Mr. Paleka. Ms. Eoff.
Thank you. I think you probably all remember the discussion we had in Hilo, and understand why this is necessary and timely, so I would continually support this.
Thank you, Ms. Eoff. Council members, any discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Bill 21.
Bill 21 amends ordinance number 14-82 as amended relating to public improvements and financing thereof for the fiscal year July 1, 2014 to June 30, 2015 as the Public Works Highway Administration Office Building Improvements Project for $500,000 to the capital budget. Funds for the project shall be provided from general obligation bonds, capital projects fund, fund balance, and/or other sources. Funds will be used to expand and improve office space at the Highways Administration Building, introduced by Ms. Eoff, requires 2/3 vote of the membership.
Ms. Eoff.
Move to approve Bill 21.
It's been moved by Ms. Eoff, seconded by Mr. Paleka. Ms. Eoff.
Thank you. In my notes here, I just have noted that this is to construct an additional 26 by 60 floor building of offices and rooms to accommodate additional staff. So I don't know if you have any other questions, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eoff. Council members, any discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Bill 22.
Bill 22 amends ordinance number 14-81 as amended the operating budget for the County of Hawaii for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2015. Appropriates revenues in the federal grants wrongful conviction demonstration project account $52,072 and appropriates the same to the wrongful conviction demonstration project account. Funds will be used to purchase recording equipment and related technology to record custodial interrogations of individuals by law enforcement personnel. Introduced by Ms. Yoff.
Ms. Yoff.
I move to approve Bill 22.
It's been moved by Ms. Yoff, seconded by Mr. Paletta. Ms. Yoff.
This is a grant that will be used to purchase recording equipment and related technology for recording custodial interrogations by our law enforcement.
Thank you, Ms. Yoff. Any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Mr. Clerk, Bill 23.
Bill 23 amends ordinance number 14-81 as amended the operating budget for the County of Hawaii for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2015. Appropriates revenues in the federal grants improved forensic services account $25,641 and appropriates the same to the improved forensic services account. Funds will be used to pay for costs associated with keeping personnel updated in forensic science training and to purchase updated forensic science equipment. Introduced by Ms. Yoff.
Ms. Yoff.
Move to approve Bill 23.
It's been moved by Ms. Yoff, seconded by Ms. David. Ms. Yoff.
I just mentioned that this grant will be used for costs associated with keeping personnel continuously updated in forensic science training and to purchase the equipment. And it covers a period from October 1st, 2014 through September 30th, 2015.
Thank you, Ms. Yoff. Council members, any other discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Okay, council members, we
Mr.
have
Chair?
resolution 50. Yeah, was that Mr. Onishi?
Yes.
Mr. Onishi.
Okay, I just got word that House State Rep Melly Carroll just passed away this morning. So she represented Lanai, Molokai, and parts of Maui. So would it be possible to maybe have a moment of silence for her?
Please. Thank you, Mr. Onishi, for the announcement. Prayers to her family. Okay, council members, we have a resolution on the table, or amendment on the table.
Just procedure, you just need a motion to remove it from the table.
Yeah, may I have a motion to remove from the table resolution 50-15? It's been moved by Ms. Poindexter, seconded by Ms. Eoff. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I'm gonna give the floor to Ms. Willie.
Okay, I think going along with what Fresh was suggesting, I'm going to read what it would be. It would be, any request for referral of a presentation shall be approved in advance by the council chair, underline the word chair, and then keep going. The request shall include the proposed date for the presentation, a brief description of the content of the presentation, and the person or persons or group that will be providing the presentation. Any request so approved shall be referred by the council chairperson to the appropriate committee to be heard on the date as proposed in the requesting communication, unless the council chair, adding the word chair in again, determines the presentation will occur on a date other than that which has been proposed. Let's see if Fresh is okay.
I don't want to, I hate to just make a
Point of
small
order.
consideration. Could we just say chairperson,
Yeah.
just to be consistent throughout the
That's fine.
document? So what you just said, by adding chairperson in the place of chair, I think everybody's on board with that,
Yes.
as far as understanding at least, maybe not appreciating. but understanding.
Okay,
Yes.
council members, did you all get the language proposed? So, the motion on the floor, do we have, Mr.?
I understand that Ms. Woolley made this motion to amend this amendment. All we need is a second now.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved by Ms. Willie and seconded by Ms. Eoff, to amend, what communication, 79.1 with the contents of what just came out of Ms. Willie's mouth. All in favor, or any discussion on the proposed amendments? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes on the amendment to the amendment. Okay, we are currently now on the amendment as amended. Any discussion on the amendment as amended? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Okay, now we are on the resolution 50 as amended. We might have to, before we vote on this, Mr. Clerk, as I'm am I correct in saying that we're gonna have to, vote on the rules, or what is it, suspend the rules so that we can vote on this today?
If the council wishes to continue with this resolution, yes.
Okay. Any discussion on resolution 50-15 as amended?
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Well, so that we can, sorry. May I have a motion to suspend the rules so that we can discuss this resolution as amended today?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Paleka and seconded by Ms. Willie. Any discussion? Oh, sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion has been approved, and we have suspended the rules so that we can discuss this item today. Any discussion? Ms. Willie?
Okay, I want to make it clear to the public what we're doing, what's the bottom line here, and that is, this communication is 79.1 from Mr. Onishi, and it would eliminate the section C as it currently in, it would take out all council and committee meetings shall conclude by 6 p.m. absent a majority vote of all council members in attendance. The meeting shall be continued to a further date as soon as is practical. That's eliminated. That would be deleted. So I just want to make it clear. So there would be no required vote. And then second on C, it would again, basically, first sentence, any request for a presentation would have to be approved by the council chairperson, and it would be handled administratively through the council chair. So just for anyone listening, that's where we're ending up. Thank you.
Ms. Yoff?
And just to be really clear, we will have no rule that has any end time to meetings, correct?
Yeah, Ms. Willie explained that in her first, when she first discuss this item. Okay, any other discussion, council members? In hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Before I have a motion to adjourn, Mr. Clerk, is there any other items on the agenda that we have missed?
No, we've completed the agenda, but I believe Mr. Ilagan was interested in making a motion, and if I might try to help with the verbiage, I don't think we need to specifically cite each resolution, but maybe if you could just say a motion to suspend the reconsideration rule for each and every resolution that was adopted on this day of February 18th, 2015.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Ilagan and seconded by Mr. Paleka on the motion to suspend the rules on what Mr. The 5-day holdover, and that's correct on the resolutions that were said.
Yes, as I'm confident that everybody understands that they're rescinding their rights to reconsider at a future date.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 9 ayes, motion passes. Now, before I have a motion to adjourn, we've discussed everything on the agenda. Or we've got to do everything?
Yes, I believe we've discussed everything on the agenda.
Mr. Paleka moved to adjourn, seconded by Ms. David. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, council members.
Can first you just what happens on the TAT?
Safe travels, everyone. I look forward to seeing you come
Fresh,
back
are
and
you
hearing
still
all of your
there?
great stories.
Fresh, are you in?
Yes.
Maybe I'll give it to Brian.